Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks. Do you guys realize that we're all living in our own world? A world that is governed by what we think, how we move, and how we perceive things. And this is why so many companies are out there trying to control how we think. And so we're going to talk about that because that impacts our money psychology and how we earn, how we look at money, how we move through the world, and what we can attract to ourselves and what we can access. Okay, so be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll be right back after a few short commercials and a beautiful prayer.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided thee right, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. And I'm excited to be here with you all this morning because y'all know I'm all about healing and trying to help us figure this thing out. A big part of our struggles and our sojourn here in America has been money and how we think about money, how we see money. And something interesting happened. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story before we get started. When I graduated from college, my first job was with a company called Price Waterhouse. Now it's called PwC. And I worked there roughly about a year. But I was super green, I had just turned 22 years old. I thought I knew what I was doing, but the lessons that I got, a lot of them I carried with me as I moved into the world. So one day it was a huge snowstorm, and when you're a first year in a public accounting firm, you end up doing a lot of grunt work, and either it's copying a bunch of stuff or running errands and things like that. And one of the partners of the firm, I can't remember his first name, but I think the last name was Odrobanak. And he lived in this like upscale area of town. And because of the severe snowstorm, I guess he needed some work papers, and he called down to the office and said, have somebody bring me these work papers. So they came to my little cubicle and was like, can you take these to Mr. Odrobanak? And I was like, okay. And I had my brand new little Toyota Tercel. It was turquoise, little stick shift. And I went riding up there to go take Mr. Odrobanak these work papers. But I was so nervous when I got out of the car that when I got out, I locked the car and didn't realize it. So I go up to the door, ring the doorbell. His wife answers the door. I go in. It's this big foyer, double doors. And I go inside, and I'm just kind of standing there, and she goes and gets him, and he gets him. He has to be he comes down, gets the papers. Now I'm the only Black person that's worked there. I think I probably was the first Black woman that worked at that office. There was a brother that worked there before me. But I know for sure I was the first Black woman. And they were real careful with me, very gingerly. And I felt like I wasn't learning anything because they was just giving me the safe clients. If you go to the big clients, you're not going to find anything. There's not going to be any challenges. So I was, and I said something to him about that. I don't even remember how I worded it, but I do remember what he said back to me that I never forgot. And I carry it. I keep it I have these notes in my phone. And every time I get a new phone, I keep this note that he said to me in here. And he said to me that he said, we all live in our own world. He said, every mind has the same reality and the same amount of money. And I was like, because my money psychology as a Black woman at that time, a young Black woman who had struggled through college, paid her way through school, and I didn't have the right money psychology, so I couldn't receive what he was saying. He said, nobody has any more money than you have. He said, what you perceive is what you receive. Now, I'm holding that in my brain. I leave out and the snow's coming down fast, and I pull my car door and I realize I done locked my daggone keys in the car. So I got to go back up to Mr. Odrobanak's house and up the stairs, because it was like up some stairs and down a little bit. And he was still standing there. I guess maybe he was making sure I got to the car. I don't know. And he said, I said, I locked my keys in the car. Mr. Odrobanak came out of the house with a Slim Jim. You would not think that this big partner of the firm, this wealthy man, knew anything about that. He used a Slim Jim, got me out of the car. He patted on the car and he said, get on home before the storm gets too bad. So I'm repeating in my brain what he said to me, and I'm just tripping that he was just regular, but he did something where he opened up my concept of perception. And if you can perceive it, you can conceive it, and you can receive it. See, part of our problem and the reason why so many of us have poor money psychology is that when we go through experiences, we allow those experiences to change our perception. And then our perception then reduces what we believe that we can see. So all of a sudden, if you go through a divorce, and it's a rough divorce, and all you're thinking about, and I added with that, is that we all live in our own world. and your word and what you think creates the world you live in. So now, if the word that I'm repeating in my head is I ain't got no money, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and da 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 da, because of some experience that happened to me. Now I'm reducing what I perceive can happen because I've allowed the word that I'm saying to myself to supersede the perception. Okay, this is how money is really all psychology. See, we've had 400 years of bad experiences that have told us that we can't have certain things. And so it's so important that even we as adults, and especially for children, but that we go out and we have experiences so that we can learn and see more. And then when we see more and we know more and we start talking to ourselves differently, we then can begin to perceive. See, if you don't talk to yourself about having $1 million or $1 billion, you likely are never going to get there. And if it does just fall in your lap somehow from the lottery or something like that, you'll blow right through it. So this next 2 days is talking to us about how to ingrain what I'm calling DI or divine intelligence into our brain so that we can begin to accomplish what it is that we need to accomplish in today's world. Okay. See, your income or what comes to you is always trying to catch up with your psychology. See, if you've been so traumatized by poverty that all you think about is who you can get over on, how much you can steal, how much scamming you can do, then that becomes your psychology. And that's a psychology of lack, of subtraction. I got to take, I got to steal. It's really the psychology of a devil. And so your income is always trying to catch up with that. And somebody said to me one day, they said, yeah, but some of these white people are rotten to the core and they make all this money. I said, but let me tell you something about white people, or at least some white people. They're very confident in who they are and their sovereignty as a person. They could be dead ass wrong. Excuse my language. They could be wrong to the core and they won't believe it. They won't operate like that. That's why they walk around and we're like, what's this Karen acting like she own everything? Because that's the world that they live in. Those are the conversations that they have with themselves, that they're in charge, they run this, and believe it or not, that mentality in and of itself probably gets them more than their intellect, their education, their credit worthiness, and all of that. So we ask ourselves, in this day of AI, my theory is this, that the powers that be created this whole AI technology thing because they have to figure out a way to combat the divine intelligence that has been brought into the world by the coming of God. So we're going to talk about that. Part 1 today of our money psychology conversation. Let me grab me some notes here because I don't want to go off the rail too much. Let's see. I hope y'all doing okay. Let me know in the chat where you chiming in from while I'm pulling up my notes. Yeah, I know I should have had this pulled up before, but it's all right. All right. So I want to start here. For generations, people have believed that education alone would guarantee economic security. Let me tell you what education does in a sense. Yes, it can give you access to more knowledge. Yes, it can help you learn things that you didn't know before you started studying. But what studying does is it opens your perception of reality. And the opening of your perception of reality makes you believe I can get that job. Why? Because now I have a degree in psychology or sociology. So I'm going to go for a sociology job. You never would have went for the sociology job if you didn't have your perception broadened by the education you received. So the world that we live in, we tend to think that it's just about the education, it's just about the degree, and it's not. See, today, knowledge, information is becoming increasingly more accessible. We talked about AI. AI can summarize a book in seconds. AI can write reports for you. It can create presentations. It can generate code. It can analyze data. It can even help you diagnose medical conditions. Obviously, you got to put a little divine intelligence in that because it only knows what it's been fed. But that doesn't mean that human beings are becoming obsolete. And I've been hearing all this stuff all the time. Well, as human beings, we're going to be obsolete. Do you think that a made man can create a technology that trumps divine intelligence? See, the value of being only knowledgeable is changing. I can stand in front of you and read a bunch of knowledge off of a paper, but that's not going to change your frequency and resurrect you. It's going to be the energy that comes from me to you that's going to change your reality. See, throughout history, technology has rarely eliminated work. Got to go back to history. This is why history is important. Technology has always reshaped how we work. We get new occupations, new ways that we do things, and then the old ways fade. People who adapt find new opportunities, but those who resist may struggle and keep pace. See, we're entering into another one of those moments. And the question is not whether AI will change the economy, because it already has. The question is, what is our perception and how will we respond? Okay. You all know who've been following the channel know I've been teaching money psychology for years. I started down this money psychology course because here we go again. I was in an airport in Boston, and it seemed like snow be bringing up all kind of stuff for me. But I was stuck in the airport in Boston, trying to get back to Chicago, and it had been snowing. And they was like, we don't know if the flight's leaving and what's going to happen. And it was also snowing in Boston. So I'm sitting there, the airport's packed. I'm sitting there on the floor with my laptop. And like across from me is this guy. I won't say his name because he's really private. He's from somewhere in Europe. I don't know his I don't know his nationality, but he's bald guy. He's very white. He has like 14 earrings going around his ear and a bunch of other stuff happening, all these tattoos. And I'm looking and I said, I've seen this person before. Like, I think he's kind of famous or something, but I didn't want to say anything. And I had just finished my certification as an emotional intelligence coach. And they started talking to us about this guy who was a money shaman. And I said, I think that's him. So I'm looking because I'm on my laptop and I'm looking I said, that is him. So now I'm like, let me try to figure out how to say something to him, right? This is a great time to be talking to a money shaman, right? And so I think in my little arrogance, I said, I introduced myself. My name is Wendy Muhammad. I learned about you in such and such's class, and he played some of your tapes and da-da-da-da-da. And I wanted to know if when I get back to Chicago, if I can have your number so I can call you and we can work together. And he looked at me and he said, by the way you asked that question, he said, no, you're not ready. He said, how did he say it? Something like, I'm certain that you got bad money psychology because the way you worded that question. He said, that was the worst pitch ever. And he got up and left. And I'm like, I know he didn't. So anyway, fast forward, we 3 hours delayed. I get on the plane. I'm still hearing his words in my brain. And I started studying money psychology. And then about a year later, I emailed him and I said, I met you in the airport. You said this to me, da 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 da. And I said, would you be on my podcast? I was on Blog Talk Radio at the time. And he said, yes. And he later explained to me, which I'll share in a court, why he said that to me. And he started talking to me about what slavery had done to our money psychology. And it was the second major conversation that somebody had with me about perception. And so I just said, I got to start sharing this with our people, because money is rarely about just money. See, money is psychological. Two people can receive the exact same opportunity, and one will see possibility and the other one can see risk. One will invest and the other might hesitate. One of us might start a business and the other one might spend years getting ready to start the business. What's the difference? It's not the opportunity, it's the psychology of the person. There's a behavioral scientist, a behavioral economist that I study often. His name is Daniel Kahneman. And he has a partner named Richard Thaler, and they have a lot of stuff. You should look them up. And they've shown that our financial decisions are often influenced by predictable mental patterns rather than pure logic. And that's what the money shaman said to me when he responded. He's looking at my mental patterns by the way I formulate my words. And he could tell from the way I formulate my words what my money psychology was. This is deep stuff. And so I started learning how, when I coach people, how to listen to them to be able to see where they are on the scale, on the money psychology scale, if they will. I could tell by the word choices. And this is not a magical thing. It's just from learning and studying it. And after you learn and study it, you begin to develop what I call a professional intuition. See, some people experience what they call loss aversion. So they have the tendency to fear losses more intensely than they value or the equivalent gains. And that fear keeps them from making wise investments or pursuing worthwhile opportunities. It's loss aversion. So they over-focus on the loss. Some of us fall into what they call confirmation bias, seeking information that reinforces what we already believe, but ignoring evidence that challenges us. So it's all about, some of us just go to our comfort zone and we constantly just seek information that validates what we believe instead of looking at what looks different, what challenges us. We do that a lot as religious and spiritual people. A lot of us as Muslims and Christians, we put our religion in a box. And so everything we see, we're trying to validate what's in the box, not realizing that faith is a muscle that we got to build by working it out. And so when you're exercising that faith muscle, you're not afraid to study and look at things that may not be the exact words that fit in the box you belong in, but they just might expand your reality. Then, of course, there's scarcity mindset, which a lot of us from our 400 years of psychology and the psych op that's been played on us, we operate here. And that's when we live in a constant fear of not having enough. We're haters because we think somebody got more than us. Our brain narrows its focus to immediate survival all the time, making long-term planning very difficult. When our brain narrows its focus to immediate survival, we spend most of our time in fight or flight. And if you're in fight or flight, we talked about this before on the show, what happens to your body? If you're being chased by a buffalo, then all of a sudden the blood flow in your body goes to your muscles. So you can try to run, so you can try to get away, so you can get the strength to climb up or do whatever you have to do. And so the blood goes away from your organs because the brain says the organs can survive, but we got to get up out of here. And so you're always redirecting blood flow and adrenaline and energy away from your vital organs and to your muscles and to a space where you can get away. Well, what does that do to us from a health standpoint? We're always scared. We're always worried. We're always stressed out. Then we're not pulling the blood back to our organs. It's going to our muscles. That's what happens internally when we go into fight or flight. It's like if you get ready to run a quick race, your adrenaline's flowing, all the blood, all the energy, all the focus is going to your muscles so you can win the race. Okay? I want you to think about your emotional spending. I know we all do it. How many purchases have nothing to do with what you need and everything to do with emotion? Stress, loneliness, status or perceived status, approval or some perceived approval. Okay? Influences our decision, creates a psychology. And our money follows that psychology. So if we're stressed, that creates a psychology. If we're lonely, that creates a psychology. If we're concerned about a certain status, if we want approval, it's all part of a psychology. Okay, so now this brings me back to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence does not eliminate human psychology. It is designed to amplify it. Okay. So if you are disciplined, AI can make you more productive. If you are disorganized, AI can accelerate your confusion. Technology magnifies whatever habits you already have. Okay. Now let's talk about what AI can and cannot do and how this relates to our money psychology. Okay. You got to give AI the respect it deserves. It's one of the most remarkable technological developments in our lifetime. It can analyze enormous amounts of data. It can forecast trends. It can automate repetitive tasks. It can organize information. It can conduct research, generate ideas, increase productivity, speed up our learning, write software, help our scientists out, support doctors, improve logistics. These are extraordinary capabilities. But let me ask you, can AI make you more courageous? Can it decide what your life's purpose should be? No. Can it choose integrity when no one is watching? Can it teach compassion? Can it replace the wisdom that comes from experience, sacrifice, and moral responsibility? See, those are some of the qualities that remain human. Think about that. So if artificial intelligence can perform more and more tasks, what becomes our advantage? I don't believe the future belongs to people with more information. Information has become abundant. We're in the information age. The future belongs to people with the greatest discernment, people who have access to divine intelligence that can help them think beyond where AI could even go. This is why the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are so incredible. Because I say he threw us an alley-oop, because there are little things that are big, that have big results, that he taught us, that we talk about all the time, but we don't realize how, I don't know if we realize it or not, but maybe we don't realize how powerful these things are, that not only can they trump the algorithms and the artificial intelligence, but they can supersede anything that AI can produce. And it's so simple that it makes us not believe it. Things like unity. See, if you have artificial intelligence that is written based on history, behavioral history, then behaviorally, we have never united. Behaviorally, we have rarely pooled our resources. Behaviorally, we have demonstrated certain patterns that AI assumes. But just one act of unity can change the data. No, it can change the reliability of that old data set to the point where the forecasting that it's doing, the predicting that it's doing, the data that it's spitting out is completely opposite from the current behavior. And so all those companies that are forecasting based on sales figures that have told them that they control our mind, they tell us where to buy, tell us what to do, tell us where to live. And if we switch up, immediately we've impacted the algorithm. Immediately, all of a sudden, their predictions and their forecast is wrong. Immediately. And so now, with that unity, with the pooling of resources, with some of those other tools that he taught us, now we can be in a negotiating position, because these people who have reduced their staff and have a lot of non-thinkers in their company are trying to figure out, why is the algorithm not working anymore? Well, it's not working because we changed the behavior. We're no longer operating from that same pattern. And so now when we sit down at the table, we negotiate from that standpoint. See, the more they get rid of the human mind and what they think is, or no, less reliability, I'll say it like this, on what I call divine intelligence, and the more robotic and AI driven these companies become, the more advantageous those of us that have supreme wisdom can be. Y'all didn't hear me. Y'all didn't hear that. I know y'all didn't, because I don't think that little old Elijah Muhammad and what he's teaching us and what we're getting from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and this level of supreme wisdom can make a difference. See, because we're so worried about what we perceive, which is based on history. And here's the crazy thing. They got us now starting to think like AI, starting to write like AI, starting to function like that. Unity, pooling our resources, separation, mental separation, spiritual separation, and physical separation. Almost three different things. But if we are simply mentally separated, we done messed up the algorithm. If we're physically separated, we done messed up the algorithm. If we're spiritually separated, if our thoughts are separated, if our behaviors are separated, we done messed up the algorithm. Y'all didn't think about that, huh? It was an alley-oop. He gave us the answer. because he knew that they were going to become so robotic and so pattern driven, and they're going to drop any ability to create because they think now they've got this machine that's just learning behaviors. But what if those behaviors that they're learning are old and we're not practicing them again? We can create something that technology actually will have a hard time replicating. Okay. Every day somebody asks me, what do you think is going to happen in the economy? The truth is, no one knows every twist and turn. And I talk about this all the time on the show that, economics is such a man-made and constructed thing that it's almost impossible to predict it. We can identify trends, but certainty when it comes to the economy is impossible. So our certainty and our psychology when it comes to money and economics has to be in something else. What we do know is that AI will continue to become more integrated into business, into education, healthcare, finance, our everyday lives. Organizations will increasingly look for people who can work effectively with intelligent technologies as opposed to compete against them. Entrepreneurship, specialized expertise, creativity, and adaptability are likely to become even more valuable. The ability to create, the ability to mimic the creator, to understand that, and to be nimble in our creativity, to be creative in our morality. To be creative is where we're going to win. And we have to learn how to follow these principles that trump these algorithms and the behavioral science that they've based all of their predictions on. So the competition now is the marketing, the advertising, the PR that is put out there that is designed to corral us into this groupthink so that they can continue to make money off of us because we're thinking in a manner that aligns with the artificial intelligence, which again is based on behaviors, past behaviors that it's learning. So if they get us thinking in that thought loop and behaving a certain way, then they got us. But what about divine intelligence? See, tomorrow we're going to dig deep into divine intelligence. One of the most valuable skills of the 21st century will be the ability to adapt without abandoning your principles. It's two different things. Adaptation means learning new tools. Principles determine how you use them. So the adaptation of learning AI and algorithms, but what principles do you have in your psychology that determine how you and I use what we're adapting? See, we confuse adaptation with compromise. They're not the same either. You can adapt new technology without abandoning your integrity. You can embrace innovation without sacrificing your values. You can learn new ways to earn money without losing sight of who you are. History reminds us that uncertainty is not an exception to human civilization. It's the norm. It's the uncertainty and the chaos that brings about change. Every generation has believed it was living through unprecedented times. The generation before us lived through the Great Depression, where millions of people lost their jobs, businesses failed, and entire families were trying to figure out how to survive. Another generation endured 2 world wars. Our parents experienced the civil rights movement. There's been oil crisis, recessions, globalization, the birth of the internet. Our children will be talking about us. Our parents lived through the birth of the internet. We went from horse and buggy to cars. And then from roads to highways. Every one of those periods has produced remarkable builders. See, it's all about your psychology. When other people saw a crisis, you and I got to see possibility. When others were focused on scarcity, we got to focus on service. When other people were waiting for certainty, we have to build certainty. The lesson of history is not that uncertainty disappears. The lesson is that builders, us, learn to build within uncertainty. I call it manifesting in the face of reality. Manifesting in the face of uncertainty if your reality is uncertain. But the lesson is that builders learn to build within uncertainty. We have a beautiful example of that in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. When he rebuilt the Nation of Islam, it was uncertain. He was standing on rocky ground. All of the attacks, all of the way in which he's been vilified, all the way in which he's been hurt, attacked, attempted murder, all of this. But he's still building in the face of that uncertainty. And some of us have been blessed to be up front and close and center and to soldier with him as he's building within uncertainty. We didn't see it in a book. We didn't watch it on TV. We didn't see it from a distance. We saw it with our own eyes. I'm going to leave you right there because that means that those of us that were blessed to see it and experience it have a responsibility. So look, the tools have changed. The principles have not. Honesty still matters. Trust still matters. Character still matters. Service still matters. Vision still matters. People will continue to do business with those that they trust. Communities will continue to follow leaders with integrity. And that's the part. That's an interesting part because this is where the devil is working to confuse us. Because we don't believe oftentimes what we see. And most of us are so traumatized that we have this thing with trust. But I like to say it like this. This is trust. You only know a person from situation to situation. You trust them to be and who they are. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us who we're dealing with and what we're dealing with. He told us who we are and what we can and cannot do. And so principles is what we must use in order to build trust. Don't just trust somebody because they look a certain way. Maybe because they're Black, maybe because they're white, maybe because they're Hispanic. Look at the principles. Look at the behaviors. And communities that understand how to look at trust and integrity based on psychology and principles will be the winners. Because everybody else going to go off the cliff trusting and believing in something and someone that behaviorally has demonstrated that they don't mean us any good. This is the new investment worthy people. Those of us who demonstrate discipline, sound judgment, and know how to think in alignment with divine intelligence. That's what's going to get us over to this other side. Technology can make us faster, okay? But it can't give us purpose. It can generate information, but it can't necessarily generate wisdom. I just want you all to think about that and think about these things. Never become so committed to your methods that you abandon your mission. Your methods have to evolve as the time evolves so that your methods support your mission. That's why if we have a mission, we have to say, how do we adjust our methods to change? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did this. He had a mission, and then he adjusted the method. So he went to radio. And then we went from radio to, people started speaking. We went from radio to recordings and cassette tapes. There's a different methodology to spread the word. Then we went to DVDs and CDs. Now it's MP3 and MP4. Now it's online. The method changes, but the mission does not. Right and exact, right down to the modern time. So we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. We're going to talk about something artificial intelligence will never possess, and that's divine intelligence. And divine intelligence, see, is that intelligence that is ahead of the curve. It's higher than the accumulation of artificial intelligence. I just want us thinking. I want us thinking. Because a lot of us are caught up in the uncertainty of the future. But our certainty is in the divine intelligence that we all have access to. So we're going to share that. We're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow. So thank you all in the chat. Let me know. We got a couple minutes if you have any questions. Let me see who we got here. I see Servant Nasir. He says, build an uncertainty. That's cold. Okay, thank you. Praise be to Allah. Brother Christopher X. Gray says, teach sis. Let me see. Let me show y'all chats. Servant Nasir said, thanks, sis. Who else we got here? Brother Jamil's in the house. Northwest Arkansas. What you talking about, Jamil? Divine intelligence. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Odrobanak. Mr. Odrobanak did the daggone thing with that. So thank you all. Thank you for joining today. Be a friend, tell a friend, spread the word. Let everybody know about what we're learning over here on the channel. DI, divine intelligence. That is the key. That is the key word and the key phrase for today, divine intelligence. Okay. So family, tomorrow we're going to continue our conversation. We're going to go a little bit deeper into divine intelligence. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you support the network, feel free to Cash App us. You see the information going across the bottom of the screen. It's just a little love offering so we can continue to give this information for free. You know how, let's see, somebody else said something. Okay. All right. Okay. That's tomorrow. We got some things coming up that I want you guys to stay focused on. We'll make some big announcements tomorrow. I'm working on a couple of things that I want to share with you. Our beloved sister, Aziza Muhammad, made her transition this week. And I've known Sister Aziza for many, many years. We, in the Vanguard, she's always our sensei. We call her Mama Judy. And I've been going to see Mama Judy since she started to get sick. And she's just so sweet, even in what she was going through. She gave me this beautiful garment one Savior's Day, and just just a beautiful, beautiful soul. And so I'm so grateful for her, and um, and I'm so grateful that she reached out to me when she started going through this dis-ease that she was experiencing, and we had lots of beautiful and wonderful conversations. So may Allah bless her family and cover her family, um, Brother Aziz, Sister Joy, little Sister Rakaya, our little brother Fahad, and the whole entire family. All right. So I wasn't going to say anything about it because I kept saying, is it true? Is it true? Did it really happen? And Dr. Patrice said to me, yes, it's true. So I'm just so grateful that there's so many beautiful people that I've been blessed to be on this earth with. So many loving and incredible people. And I'm so honored that Allah chooses me to meet and spend time with these incredible, incredible vessels that he decided to show up in. So with that, we'll see you all tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. All right. Peace and blessings, family.